This story is a work of fiction, inspired by real events. Names, dates, locations, and identifying details have been changed or dramatized to protect privacy and enhance the narrative. Any resemblance to actual persons, living or dead, is purely coincidental or used fictitiously. This content is intended for entertainment and educational purposes only. It does not aim to glorify crime, promote violence, or pass judgment on real individuals. Viewer discretion is advised. Some scenes may contain mature, disturbing, or triggering content. What you are about to watch could have happened anywhere, to anyone. It's inspired by real events. Whispers of truth, buried beneath layers of fiction. We've changed the names, the dates, the locations, but the emotions, the betrayal, the fear, those are real. This story is not meant to accuse, only to reveal, to make you question, who do you really trust? If stories like this keep you thinking, long after they end, hit subscribe, smash like, and drop your theory in the comments. Now watch closely, before the truth disappears again.
Love is supposed to be the place where we feel safest. Where we let our guard down. Where we finally breathe again after life knocks the wind out of us. But sometimes, love becomes the very thing that destroys us. In Jackson, Mississippi, a 65-year-old woman believed she had found a second chance at happiness. She believed God had sent her someone who would hold her through her final years. This is the story of Evelyn Carter. And the man she trusted with her life, Malik Henderson. Before we begin, hit the like button so the algorithm knows you want more real, human stories. Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and join this community as we expose the truth behind the crimes that hide in plain sight. Now, let's go back to where everything looked beautiful. Because every tragedy begins in a season that felt perfect. Before the darkness, before the tension, before anyone suspected anything. There was laughter. There was light. There was a love story that looked harmless, warm, and even inspiring. Let's start at the beginning, the moment Evelyn met Malik. And the season that promised her joy. Evelyn Carter had lived 65 years with grace. A retired elementary school teacher in South Jackson, she was the kind of woman who remembered every child's birthday, who sent prayer texts at sunrise, who baked without measuring anything because her hands knew the ingredients by heart. 2 years earlier, she had buried her husband of nearly 4 decades. Since then, her smile had become a quiet thing, gentle, but dimmed. Everything changed in the summer of 2020. At her niece's housewarming barbecue off McDowell Road, Evelyn met a young man named Malik Henderson. He was 31, polite, soft-voiced, and surprisingly attentive. He set up speakers, carried coolers, held open doors. He treated Evelyn with the kind of respect older women pray the younger generation still understands. He offered her a chair. He handed her a plate when her hands were full. And when she laughed at one of his jokes, it startled even her family. It had been a long time since anyone heard that sound from her. Her sister, Loretta, would later say. That day, it was like Evelyn came back. Malik lived nearby and worked as an HVAC technician. Within weeks, he began stopping by Evelyn's house. First to check her air conditioning, then to repair a loose window latch, then just to sit and talk on the porch during warm evenings. He didn't rush her. He didn't push her. He simply made space for her in a way that felt natural. And Evelyn, for the first time in years, felt seen. By the fall of 2020, the bond had grown quietly into romance. Their age gap was vast, yes, 34 years, but their conversations felt effortless. He brought youthful energy. She brought emotional calm. They balanced each other in a way that surprised them both. But there was one moment, subtle, fleeting, that served as a quiet warning. One of their neighbors, Mr. Calvin Morris, noticed Malik moving several heavy, sealed plastic storage bins into Evelyn's garage one night. When Calvin greeted him, Malik jumped slightly, as if caught off guard, before forcing a smile. Calvin found it odd. But Eve seemed happy, so he said nothing. By early 2021, Malik was spending most nights at her house. And on March 12, 2021, they married in a small ceremony at St. Matthew Baptist Church. Evelyn wore a cream dress and held a bouquet of white lilies. Malik held her hand as if the future was theirs to build. The first 2 days of their marriage were everything she hoped for. They cooked together, prayed together, walked around the yard planting spring flowers. Evelyn told Loretta on the phone, "God gave me a second chance." But even then, a shadow was forming beneath the surface. A shadow only Evelyn would start to notice first. The beautiful season didn't last long. Within 48 hours of the wedding, Malik's energy shifted. He wasn't calm anymore. He wasn't attentive. He wasn't the young man who used to sit quietly on Evelyn's porch, listening to gospel classics and watching fireflies. He was restless. On March 13, Evelyn's niece Tanya visited. She remembered Malik hardly lifting his eyes from his phone. He stepped outside 3 times to take calls. Speaking in a low voice, walking toward the street so no one could overhear. Evelyn tried to ignore it. But Tanya didn't. Something felt off. Later that day, Tanya overheard a moment she would never forget. Evelyn asked, gently, "Baby, is everything okay?" And Malik snapped. "I said I'm fine. Stop asking me." Tanya stared at him, shocked. Evelyn tried to laugh it off, but the smile didn't reach her eyes. That evening, Evelyn called her sister Loretta. Her voice was trembling when she said Malik had asked strange questions, not about love, not about their future, but about money. "What happens to your pension? How much insurance do you get? Is your house in your name alone?" Loretta was silent for a moment. But Evelyn cut in before she could respond. "He's just trying to understand things, I guess. Marriage is new to him." Even as she said it, she didn't sound convinced. The next morning, March 14, the cracks widened. They went grocery shopping at Fresh Market on Terry Road. According to cashier Angela Reed, Malik spoke sharply to Evelyn. "Hurry up, Eve. You move too slow." It wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. But it was cutting, the kind of subtle disrespect that reveals something deeper. Angela noticed Evelyn's hands shaking slightly as she packed their groceries. Later that afternoon, another witness, neighbor Sharon Little, saw Malik take Evelyn's phone off the porch table, glance through it, and put it in his pocket. When Evelyn stepped outside to get it, she looked confused, even embarrassed, whispering, "I must have misplaced it." Sharon didn't interfere. But to her, something felt wrong. Meanwhile, Malik's nights grew stranger. He began stepping out around midnight. No explanation. No destination. When Evelyn asked where he was going, he gave the same vague answer. To see a friend. He didn't say who. He didn't say why. He didn't say when he would be back. On the night of March 14 going into the early hours of March 15, he returned around 3 a.m. Neighbors heard the back door slam hard enough to rattle the frame. The next morning, Evelyn told Tanya, "I don't feel right. Not safe, but maybe I'm imagining things." She still believed in the goodness of the man she married. She still believed in second chances. She still believed love required patience and understanding. But what she didn't know was that these weren't mood swings. Or stress. Or marriage adjustments. This was the prelude to something darker. A shift in Malik that would soon become irreversible. By March 15, 2021, Evelyn sensed the first cracks in the perfect picture. The laughter and warmth of the past 2 days had faded. Malik's energy had shifted, restless, tense, distant. That evening, around 7 p.m., Evelyn prepared dinner, fried catfish, collard greens, and cornbread. She hoped the familiar routine would calm the air, but Malik barely touched his plate. He sat with arms crossed, eyes fixed on the wall. "Baby, are you okay?" Evelyn asked softly. He didn't answer. Instead, he stood, walked to the backyard, and paced while talking quietly on his phone. Neighbor Calvin Morris noticed Malik moving inside the garage with a small flashlight. He later told police. "He jumped when he saw me watching. Like he didn't want anyone noticing." Inside, Evelyn clutched her Bible, waiting for him to return. When he did, around 9 p.m., he spoke softly, apologizing for earlier tension. Evelyn believed him, briefly. By 11 p.m., the questions became unsettling. "Where do you keep your insurance papers?" he asked. Soft voice. Calculated tone. Evelyn's hands trembled. She said she'd show him tomorrow, hoping to end the conversation. At 12:14 a.m., neighbor Sharon Little heard heavy thuds in the house, muffled, but alarming. She glimpsed Malik's shadow moving quickly, carrying something toward the garage. By 1:03 a.m., he was seen loading a large, wrapped object into the trunk of Evelyn's car. By 3 a.m., the house was silent. Evelyn Carter, the woman who had believed she had found love again, disappeared into the night. The beautiful season had ended. And the prelude to the unthinkable had begun. Even before her disappearance, Evelyn's intuition had begun to warn her. She noticed Malik's control growing in subtle ways. His scrutiny over her phone, his constant questions about finances, and the impatience that had once been disguised as stress. Evelyn confided to her niece Tanya and sister Loretta. "I feel unsafe, but maybe I'm overthinking," she whispered. They urged her to take precautions, but love, and hope, made her hesitate. Malik's behavior, though, was escalating. He wasn't just distant. He was becoming possessive. Watching her reactions, testing her compliance, isolating her emotionally. Neighbors recalled small signs of obsession on both sides. Evelyn's attempts to please him, cooking, cleaning, adjusting her schedule, were met with subtle demands or veiled criticism. Malik had become the silent center of her world, and she, unknowingly, had become a part of his dangerous game. By the late hours of March 14, Evelyn felt a creeping tension in every glance and word. The man she loved, the man she trusted, was quietly testing boundaries she didn't even know existed. And every attempt she made to reconcile or explain only drew her further into the web he was weaving. This was the point when love stopped being love. When devotion turned into fixation. When the stage was set for the unthinkable act that would make Evelyn Carter the sixth victim, and the beginning of a horrifying pattern that authorities would soon uncover. By March 16, 2021, Evelyn Carter had not been seen or heard from. Her niece Tanya called repeatedly, no answer. Her sister Loretta went by the house, the front door locked, lights off, no movement. Concerned, neighbor Sharon Little contacted the Jackson Police Department. She described unusual activity from the night before, heavy thuds, Malik's flashlight in the garage, and trips to his car trunk. Police arrived around 10:30 a.m. They knocked, no response. Through the front window, they observed. The living room slightly disheveled, chairs shifted. The kitchen table with unfinished dishes, suggesting dinner was interrupted. Malik Henderson answered the door. Calm. Polite. Almost unnervingly composed. He insisted Evelyn was staying with family for a few days. But officers noticed inconsistencies. Missing personal items, purse, phone, car keys. Blood traces, faintly visible under luminol, partially cleaned. Disturbed bins in the garage. Previously moved by Malik, now showing evidence of recent handling. Detective Mark Holloway recalled. From the first look, it didn't feel right. The traces were subtle but telling, someone tried to cover up what happened. Witness accounts reinforced suspicion. Calvin Morris, saw Malik moving objects into the trunk late at night. Angela Reed, observed Malik tense and irritable at the grocery store. Sharon Little, noticed repeated late-night trips with heavy items. Piecing together a timeline. March 14 to 15, escalating tension, financial questioning, emotional manipulation. March 15 to 16, suspicious nighttime movements and disappearance. Forensic examination revealed. Faint blood traces on plastic wrapping in the garage. Disturbance patterns inconsistent with normal household activity. Subtle chemical residue indicating attempts to clean or conceal evidence. By the end of the day, it was clear, Evelyn Carter's disappearance was deliberate. Her last night had left physical and psychological traces that spoke volumes to investigators. By March 17, 2021, Evelyn's disappearance was officially treated as a criminal investigation. Detective Holloway and his team examined Malik Henderson's history. Prior intimate partners had reported stalking, threats, and sudden disappearances. None had resulted in confirmed fatalities, until now. A search warrant was executed at Malik's residence. Forensic officers noted chemical odors in the garage, consistent with cleaning agents used to erase biological traces. Blood smears matching Evelyn's DNA on surfaces partially cleaned. Personal items hidden under boxes, including clothing and jewelry. Witness statements helped form a chilling pattern. Calvin Morris, flashlight activity in garage, late-night movements. Angela Reed, purchases of large quantities of cleaning supplies. Sharon Little, late-night observations of objects being loaded into Malik's car. Security footage confirmed Malik leaving Evelyn's house around 1 a.m., returning later empty-handed. Forensic analysis and witness accounts revealed the sequence of manipulation and violence. 1. Psychological control, persistent questions about money, insurance, and property. 2. Isolation, late-night trips and preventing contact with family. 3. Physical confrontation, subtle blood traces, displaced furniture, disturbed storage bins. 4. Disposal. Transport of Evelyn in his vehicle, attempts to erase evidence using chemicals. By March 18, 2021, investigators were deep into Malik Henderson's history. Detective Mark Holloway noticed patterns that were impossible to ignore. Every woman he had dated had reported subtle threats, obsessive questioning, and unusual control. Many had gone missing under mysterious circumstances, though no fatalities had been confirmed, until now. Police began piecing together timelines, witness statements, and surveillance footage. Neighbor Calvin Morris confirmed Malik's late-night movements with heavy objects. Angela Reed, the cashier, recalled multiple small purchases of industrial-strength cleaning supplies over several weeks. Sharon Little remembered seeing Malik transporting large wrapped items to his car late at night. As forensic evidence from Evelyn's home was re-examined, detectives saw a chilling pattern. Blood traces under garage bins. Chemical residues indicating attempts to erase biological evidence. Displaced furniture and disturbed surfaces consistent with physical confrontation. Detective Holloway explained. Everything, the movements, the purchases, the behaviors, it all fit together. This wasn't impulsive. It was planned. Amid all the procedural focus, Evelyn's family and friends waited anxiously. Tanya Carter called repeatedly, and Loretta Carter expressed growing fear. Their worry added emotional weight to the investigation, reminding everyone that a real life hung in the balance. On March 19, 2021, forensic teams returned to Malik's residence. In the back of his car, traces of Evelyn's DNA were discovered. Hidden items in the garage, her scarf, bracelet, and personal effects, were partially cleaned but detectable. Chemical residues confirmed attempts to destroy evidence. Malik was interviewed, maintaining a calm, composed demeanor. But subtle behaviors. Hesitations, deflections, and averted gaze, hinted at his knowledge of guilt. Forensic analysts reconstructed a timeline. 1. psychological control, persistent questioning about money, property, and insurance. 2. Isolation, late-night trips and restricting Evelyn's communication with family. 3. Physical confrontation, blood traces, displaced furniture, disturbed storage areas. 4. Transport and concealment, vehicle movements, hidden evidence, chemical cleaning. Police confirmed Evelyn Carter as Malik Henderson's sixth victim, the culmination of a pattern of manipulation and violence. Family members, especially Loretta, felt a mix of grief and vindication. She was trusting, gentle. "We thought she had a second chance at happiness. But he took that from her," she said. The Jackson community grappled with the shock. Neighbors realized they had seen warning signs but never imagined such a calculated crime. News outlets reported on Malik's arrest, revealing his history of manipulation and control. Family, friends, and neighbors shared their grief and sorrow at Evelyn's loss. Tanya Carter spoke about her aunt's kindness. "She always helped people, always smiled. It's hard to believe someone like Malik could hide this behind charm." Meanwhile, law enforcement continued background checks on Malik, ensuring that the investigation would uncover all possible victims and prevent further tragedies. The emotional impact of Evelyn's story reminded the community, love can be real, but obsession and control can hide in plain sight. By March 20, 2021, Malik Henderson was formally arrested at his Jackson residence. Police recovered the remaining evidence from the garage and his vehicle. Malik faced charges of murder, kidnapping, and obstruction of justice, linking him conclusively to Evelyn Carter and prior suspicious cases. Detective Mark Holloway stated, "He thought he could manipulate everyone, family, neighbors, even law enforcement. But the evidence spoke louder than his charm." Family members, including Loretta Carter and Tanya, were present outside the courthouse, a mix of relief and heartbreak on their faces. Tanya whispered, "I just want justice, for Aunt Evelyn." In court, Malik initially maintained his composure, but subtle signs, eye movements, hesitation when confronted with forensic evidence, and silence during questioning, revealed cracks in his polished facade. Prosecutors laid out a clear timeline of manipulation, control, and violent action, leaving no doubt about his guilt. Evelyn Carter's tragic story highlights critical lessons about relationships and personal safety. Obsession masquerades as love. Excessive control, monitoring, and isolation are major warning signs. Community vigilance matters. Neighbors and friends noticing unusual behavior can prevent disasters. Trust your instincts. Charm can mask dangerous intentions. Pay attention to subtle red flags. Detective Holloway added, "Recognizing behavioral patterns early, trusting your gut, and acting on suspicions can save lives." Evelyn's story is painful, but it teaches us how to protect others before tragedy strikes. Loretta Carter reflected, "Evelyn gave love freely, but Malik hid darkness behind charm. We share her story so no one else suffers like we did." Concrete examples from the investigation reinforce the lessons: late-night pacing, obsessive financial questions, and repeated isolation attempts were all warning signs that, if noticed, could have prevented harm. Evelyn Carter's life ended too soon, but her story leaves an enduring warning. Love can be real, but obsession and manipulation can hide in plain sight. Be aware of red flags in any relationship. Speak up if you see controlling or manipulative behavior. Protect your loved ones by paying attention to subtle signs. Family and community continue to honor Evelyn by raising awareness. Tanya Carter said, "We'll never forget her, but we can make sure her story helps others stay safe." Subscribe for more real-life crime stories. Turn on notifications to stay informed about cases like Evelyn's. Share this video to spread awareness and prevent future tragedies. Evelyn's story is tragic, but it can help save lives, and that is her lasting legacy.